Turning now to our next guest, she is a social psychologist and NYU professor who's shedding a light on stressful workplace environments and problematic colleagues, not Jen. And she's here with us today with tips from her new book with the best title there, Jerks at Work, Toxic Coworkers and What to Do About Them. Please help me welcome Tessa West. Hey there, Tessa.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Listen, I feel like a lot of people, they're turning up that volume right now. So many deal with different personalities at work. Some can be very difficult. In your book, you break down the 7 classic workplace archetypes that were most likely there in the office. Can you tell us what they are and a little bit about them?
Yeah, so I chose 7 different categories that I think capture all the different types of difficult people we work with, no matter what you do for a living. So the first is the kiss up, kick downer. So this is the person who works at the same level as you, but kind of tortures you and everyone beneath you, but kisses up to the boss. So the boss really loves this person. The next is the credit stealer. So this is that person who just is very clever about acting like they're helping you out. So they're a confidant, they're a close friend, and then they steal credit for your ideas, but they often cover their tracks and actually will give you credit for things you didn't even necessarily do so that they look good to the boss. The next is the bulldozer. So this is a person that we're all pretty used to. This is that person who takes over meetings, takes over agendas, and they often have some power so they can kind of climb up the ladder at work and go behind the scenes to get what they want. The next one is the free rider. So this is actually the most common type of jerk at work. So this is that person who's charismatic and everybody actually really likes. They're great at doing things like making dinner reservations, but in reality, they don't actually do very much work, but they end up getting a lot of credit for it. And then we have the micromanager. So this is probably the most common kind of management strategy we see at work. These folks tend to be very anxious, and so in order to make themselves feel like they have control, they oversee everyone and everything to the point where you can't actually get anything done. And then we have what's called the neglectful boss. So this is a bit of a surprise to folks. This type of boss tends to do a disappearing act for a long period of time, but then they panic. And so they show up at the last minute and they micromanage you in order to get that feeling of control back. It's a little bit like a crash diet where you eat really poorly for days, panic, and then decide you're gonna flush your body with green juice as an outcome. And then lastly, we have the gaslighters. So this is a person who's dishonest at work, but they do it with the intent of deceiving on a very grand scale. They isolate you from people at work, and then they lie to you in order to make their agenda happen.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are saying, wait, I know that person, I know that person. How do you figure out what type of jerk you're dealing with? And once you've figured that out, do you approach them about it?
That's a great question. So I think the first answer is these are 7 different types, but what they have in common are some basic behavioral patterns. So what we see often with people at work is they kind of fall into one of 2 categories. They either do things behind the scenes, so they're very clever and they're tricky and they make sure they cover their tracks, or they are, what you see is what you get kind of jerk at work. So someone like a bulldozer, they don't really hide who they're trying to be. So you need to identify these patterns first to then figure out what you're going to do. I think the next really important thing that you should do is kind of figure out how to approach that jerk at work. Look for these signature patterns of behavior that are then going to tell you, should I go talk to the jerk themselves and actually try to confront them? Or do I need to take a more subtle strategy and approach someone behind the scenes? Maybe collect allies before you approach the boss, or you then go to talk to this person. And then I think if you do approach people, you have to be very careful in knowing exactly who you can approach and when.
Well, Tessa West, you are most definitely not a jerk. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. Her book, Jerks at Work, is available tomorrow at your favorite bookstore. Thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.